So I've been reading Vicious by V.e Schwab. It's a very famous book in the Villain series. It's the first book in the series, and I have been really enjoying it so far. I have reached page 216, and while I was reading it and enjoying it, I thought I'd make another vlog. Well, I'll read as many fantasy books as possible, and I'm gonna count this one. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. In addition to reading this book, I decided to start Fourth Wing as an audiobook, and I will add more books once I finish with these two. Right now, I'm gonna try to read as many pages of this book as possible in order to finish it quickly. And so let's start reading. So the story of this book is that we have two main characters, Victor and Eli, and one of them has a theory on how to create superheroes, humans with super abilities like the X-Men, and they test the theory on themselves and gain superpowers. But then they become rivals and they want to kill each other, and in this story we follow Victor as he seeks his revenge from Eli. So I just arrived at the gym. I'm gonna listen to Fourth Wing for the next hour. I have already made some really good progress in this book. Let's see where the story will take me after the gym. So the story is about a girl who is inducted by her mother, who is a general, into a military school to become a dragon rider. And we follow her through her journey to prove to herself and to her mother that she is worthy of attending this academy. So I just finished Vicious by V.e Schwab, and I really loved it. It was really fast-paced with very short chapters. Some chapters were like 2 pages long, and the prose was really easy to read. Maybe because it's a YA novel, but I don't know. I really liked the writing style of the author. I'm definitely gonna check out her other books. So in this book, I really didn't know who to root for because both of the protagonists are really bad people. Some scenes were really violent and vicious, as the name implies, but I found them to be too much for the plot. I didn't get why there's so much violence. The reasons for the characters' ruthlessness didn't convince me. The characters were really interesting, all of them, not just the 2 protagonists, and there is just the right amount of backstory for all of the characters. Overall, it's a really good book, and I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I'm definitely gonna read the second book in the series, but I need to buy the matching edition for this one. And for my next book in this challenge, I chose another fantasy book, but it's very different in subject and tone, and it's a very short book too. It's called Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. It's also a very famous book that won multiple awards, including the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2021. From what I hear about this book is that you cannot really explain it because it's very strange. I don't know anything about this book. I'm gonna dive blind. It's only 245 pages long. It's not gonna take me long to finish it, hopefully, and I'm gonna start reading it. So the story of the book is about a guy named Piranesi, and we find out that he lives in a giant house with hundreds of rooms, and that this is the known world to him, and he thinks that in this world there are only 2 people, him and another guy called the Other. And in this book he writes down his diaries of living in this house and discovering its many rooms. So I just finished Piranesi. It was a very fast read. I finished it in 2 days. It's very different than anything that I have read before. The story is very unique. The writing style is very different. I would say this is more vibes than plot, but even though I found myself reading it very quickly, I really loved the writing style, and I can't really say much about the story, otherwise I'll spoil it. You have to read it yourself to enjoy it. The ending of this book was confusing. I mean, the last page will confuse you very much. I went online to see if I understood correctly, and apparently there are many interpretations about what the last page means. I think it's up to the reader to decide what happened. I'm still listening to Fourth Wing, I have reached 50% and I'm struggling to finish this book. I mean, I like the fantasy world building, but it turns out that this book is a romance fantasy and I don't like that. I didn't know that before I started this book. I guess I should have researched my reading better. Also, the dragons talk in this book. Since I reached 50%, I'm gonna continue with this book, and since I finished Piranesi, I need something else to read, so I chose this book, The Poppy War by Rf Quang. I have heard so many good things about Rf Quang, and I decided to start with this book. This is the first book in a trilogy. It's a historical fantasy. It also involves a school. I hope it's not very similar to the Fourth Wing, because this will affect my enjoyment. I'm gonna start it and see. So the story is about a poor peasant girl who wants to escape a forced marriage. So she starts studying to enter the most prestigious military school in the country, and she discovers so many surprises about herself. So finally, I just finished Fourth Wing. It took me a very long time to finish this book, mainly because it's too long. It's longer than required. There was a point where it dragged on, and it was not going anywhere, and the characters were having the same discussion over and over, and I felt really bored by that. I really hated the main characters in this book. I really liked the side characters much more. There are so many side characters, and you don't have to memorize all of their names because so many of them will die. While I was reading this book, I kept asking myself the same question. Like, they are in a military school and they will be used in the military once they graduate. So why are they letting their students die left and right and their country is at war? I mean, it doesn't make sense to sacrifice your own soldiers instead of using them in the battlefield. I felt that was weird. And a big part of the book is the really cringy romance or love triangle between the three main characters that I did not understand. I felt like the romance was forced. I didn't buy it. I was not convinced that those two people can have a love relationship. Doesn't make sense to me. And I really didn't like the talking dragons thing. There were some good moments. The writing style was good. It's engaging. And there is a plot twist at the end. But even though there's a plot twist, I don't feel like I'm gonna continue with this series once the second book comes out. I'm gonna stop at book 1. And I made a good progress on the other book I'm reading, The Poppy War. I read about 25% so far. I'm really enjoying the writing style. I really love the world building in this book much more than Fourth Wing. I hope I'll finish this book by tomorrow. So I finally finished The Poppy War. And I finished it really quickly, considering that this is a 500 pages book, but I really like the writing of this book. I really enjoyed most of this book. It's really well written. The book is divided into 3 parts. I felt like the first part is similar to Harry Potter plus the Karate Kid, but the tone quickly changed in the second part. It's got really dark and it's inspired by World War II, specifically the war between China and Japan, and it was really brutal and ruthless, and some scenes in this book are really just that. It's really sad, it's horrifying. Some scenes were really devastating. If you're not into that kind of thing, maybe don't read this book. It's heavy, especially the third part. But even though it's like that, I really love the historical part of it because it's closer to the things that I like. I really like historical fiction. In fact, if this was a pure historical fiction about the war between China and Japan, I think I would have liked it better. I didn't really like the magic part of this book. I found it really similar to the previous book that I read, which is Fourth Wing. In that book, the writers channel the dragon's power, and in this one, they channel the power of the gods. I'm really excited to read the second book. I really love this one. And one more thing, I really like the characters of this book. Most of the characters are written beautifully. I liked them. I didn't really know what to give this book, 4 or 5 stars, but because I kept reading this book trying to find out what's going to happen, it really got me interested in the story. So I'm gonna give this 5 stars, and I think this book deserves the hype that it got. Thank you so much for watching the video so far. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you check out my other videos. Thank you very much and happy reading.